to gather the regular council meeting of June 19th, 2019. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Amrhein?
Here.
Mr. DeLeone?
Here.
Mr. Ferrara?
Here.
Mr. Kuhar?
Here.
Ms. Rosenberg? Here. Ms. Shaffer?
Here.
Mr. Sidoti?
Here.
Mr. Turner?
Here.
Ms. Wallach?
Here.
Okay, Mr. Ferrara, you have opening remarks?
I do. Finally, today it seemed like summer's here, but as you know, if you're downtown, the festival season has kicked in and is in full swing. So I would urge everyone to take advantage of those, everything that's happening downtown. And in particular, tomorrow, there's the Extinguished Torch Fest, which will take place primarily on the Main Street Bridge. It's a festival to celebrate 50 years since the burning of the Cuyahoga River, and its transformation into a great waterway that's used by everybody for recreational purposes. And it'll be a great time with food and drink and music down there. And that's from 4 o'clock until 10. So I would urge everyone to attend if they can. That's my comments. And with that, let's stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We need a motion for the regular council meeting and public hearing. Somebody want to make it?
I'd move to accept the minutes of the regular council meeting on May 15th and the public hearing on May 15th also.
Second. Second by Roger. Is there any comment, discussion?
The one I missed.
Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
I think I missed it.
Under communication, honest communication, would the clerk please read the names?
Yep. Just two. Jacob Dudley.
Just a minute, we got to read something. Under citizens' remarks, while the law does not require council to provide time for public comment, we have historically invited the public to make comments, and we appreciate their input. This is the time when residents and others can come make comment in matters what concerns them. However, we will not engage in any debate, and as President Council, I reserve the right to end any public comments that are disruptive, embarrassment, harassment, or otherwise objectionable. We ask you to come to the podium, speak your name, your address, and we will give you 3 minutes to share your concern with us.
Mayor Fiala, members of council, Mr. Ruler, first I'd like to thank you for your time and letting me speak here. My name is
Go ahead.
Jacob Dudley. I'm the president of Pride Kent and the chairperson of the Rainbow Swirl Festival Planning Committee. We're a both community and university-based committee that is working on planning the first ever Pride Festival here in the city of Kent. Excuse me. One of our main goals for this is we want to provide an LGBTQ space here in the city, particularly for students at the university, as many of them may not feel safe or comfortable going to Prides when they have to return home in the summer, when those Pride festivals are held. We are really looking forward to doing this event, and we are really wanting to work with the city on planning this, just to make sure that we are bridging both the community at large and the university community together. And more on that will be another speaker who we have coming up is our community outreach chairperson. Her name is Emily Bano. She'll be happy to tell you more about working together.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Hi.
Wait a minute, she's going to.
Emily Beto.
That's okay, go ahead.
Hi, like Jacob said, I'm Emily Beto. So like he mentioned,
Your address.
Address, please. Yeah.
1525 Leavitt Drive, Kent, Ohio.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're working to plan the first Kent Pride Festival to come to Kent. One of our main goals is to do a partnership with the city. We recognize and appreciate that you guys have a lot of funding, resources, and knowledge that we currently don't have. We've never attempted an event this large scale, and we know, as you guys mentioned, you have lots of festivals. So we're fully aware that your help and partnership would be invaluable to our mission to do this. One of the main reasons we think that this would be not only beneficial for the university, but for the city, that it would help provide, as Jacob mentioned, a safe space for members of the queer community to come together. We find that having a pride event between the Esplanade and the downtown area would help both community members and university students come together to meet one another and foster different connections and relationships. As I'm sure you all know, the Esplanade, since it's been established and built, has really helped bridge the gap between the town and the university. But we want to make that grow even further, and we want to make that grow within the queer community we have here. That's why we would like to go forward with your help and partnership to create the first ever Pride Festival here and to make Kent a more inclusive and better place for everyone. Thank you for your time.
Can I ask
Thank
you
you.
a question just real quick?
Tracy?
Did you want this to be this year, or are you looking at next year?
We're looking at October 3rd of this year.
Okay.
Okay, is there further? That's it?
Oh, no, Frank Smith.
All right, thank you. Name and address in 3 minutes, Frank.
My name is Frank Smith. I do not live in Kent. My address is 1379 Mockingbird Drive, Kent, Ohio, 44240, Twin Lakes. I'm here for 2 reasons. One, for something that occurred just Sunday. We ended up with 2 inches of water in the basement of a rental property we had. We called the city twice. I called, my son called. We were told somebody went out and looked at it. We got 1 message back saying there was no standing water, and another message back saying that the ditch wasn't full. There's no ditch in front of the house, so there's no way a ditch could be full. And then yesterday, I received a phone call from a John Osborne who said he was with the city of Kent. He left no phone number, but fortunately my answering machine produces a phone number, which turned out to be 678-8100, which is some screwy automated machine you people have. And I tried getting his number, and I couldn't. All I got was circles. I got complete failure as trying to talk to anybody. I called your office, Mr. Ruller, and nobody was there. Does anybody work at this city? I called office after office, and I get nobody. All I get is machines. Machines can't help me. That's item 1. We still have water coming up in the basement, and it's coming up from outside and a drain that's supposed to run to, I don't even know if we have a sewer out there or not, but it's supposed to run to somewhere out there. We staked it out recently, and there was some problem with it. Recently was yesterday. And there was some problem, and some root balls were removed. But that doesn't explain water coming from the other direction. It was coming in, bubbling out of the floor drain. Nobody seems to be even willing to answer the phone so I could talk to about it. How much time do I have left?
You got some time. You got another minute and a half.
Okay, the second item is, there was an article in the paper recently about the inspection of single-family rental houses. I think this is thoroughly discriminatory, and it is not discriminatory against the landlords. It's discriminatory against the poor tenants. A tenant who who can barely afford to have a rental property is now going to be soaked with another $100 bill, because the landlord is not going to assume it, and $5 per bedroom, and I already know what the health department calls a bedroom. It doesn't have to have a bed in it, all it needs to have is a door. Then they say it's a bedroom, another $5. And it's discriminating against them. If you're going to inspect single-family houses, inspect them all. If you have 2 people living next door to each other with roughly the same house, making roughly the same amount of money, one is going to be inspected if it's a rental and one isn't. It doesn't make any difference what the condition of them are. You're discriminating against somebody who has trouble affording fix-up. Thank you.
That phone number you have for central maintenance, is that 8105?
No.
What is
The only
it?
phone number I could be at was 678-8100.
General city number.
That's a yeah. Central maintenance is what?
Well, they didn't even tell me what the phone.
Wait. What's central maintenance number?
8105, but I'll give the gentleman my
All right, you're gonna talk, okay, thank you. Further?
No, that's it.
All right, written communications, please.
Park and Recreation Board packet for May 23rd, 2019, received May 20th, 2019. Planning Commission staff report and meeting agenda for June 4th, 2019, received May 28th, 2019. Standing Rock Cemetery meeting notes of May 9th, 2019, received May 17th, 2019. Sustainability Commission meeting agenda for June 3rd, 2019, and the minutes from May 6th, received May 30th, 2019. Planning Commission staff report and meeting agenda for zoning code update work session of June 18th, 2019, received June 12th, 2019. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. City Manager's report, Mr. Amrhein?
Yeah, I move items 1 through 14 on the city manager's report.
Second by John Kuhar. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign as the further, Mr. Roller.
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Understanding committees, committee of the whole, there's no action. Community development, there is no action. Finance committee, Mr. DeLeone.
I'd like to move the committee meeting minutes of June 5th.
A second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Abstain.
and one abstention.
Does anybody need these separated? I would like to move actions 1 through 4.
Second.
Second by John. Is there any discussion on the actions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-63 in title only?
Draft 2019-63, an ordinance authorizing the sale at public auction of surplus property not needed for municipal purposes by a live auctioneer pursuant to Section 721.15 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Suspension passes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach? Ordinance 2019-63 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-64 in title only?
Draft 2019-64, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-142, the current appropriation ordinance passed December 19, 2018, so as to adjust appropriations, transfers, and advances from the various funds of the City of Kent to individual accounts for the current expenses of the city for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by John. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger.
Can I ask a question?
No.
No, you're on
Oh,
order.
there's a motion.
Does anybody have any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-64 passes.
Okay, thank you. What was your question, sir?
It says in the section 1 of this thing that is set forth in Exhibit A. I cannot find an Exhibit A,
Which one are you talking about?
the one you just passed. Section 1.
All right.
He's got the actual ordinance.
He's got the actual.
He's got a draft, yeah.
Oh, all right,
Sure,
okay,
abbreviated.
well, I don't.
You want my copy?
No, I'll get it tomorrow. All right. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-65 in title only?
Draft 2019-65, a resolution authorizing the City of Kent, Ohio to strongly urge the Ohio Governor and members of the Ohio General Assembly to restore the local government fund to pre-recession levels and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar? Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Move
adoption.
Second.
Second by Garret. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Ferrara?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Resolution 2019-65 passes.
Okay, thank you. Will the clerk read draft number 2019-66 in title only?
2019-66, an ordinance authorizing the City of Kent to contribute a 10% increase to the annual Kent Heritage Festival for the fireworks display and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-66 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-67 in title only?
Draft 2019-67, an ordinance accepting donations in the amount of $5,700 to the City of Kent Parks and Recreation Department to support the Torch Fest plan for June 20th, 2019, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Garret. Please call the roll for suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Garret again. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-67 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-68 in title only?
Draft 2019-68, an ordinance accepting a donation of 30 pairs of specialized police eyewear produced by Alpha Micron to support officer safety, valued at $6,360 total, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar? Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-68 passes.
Okay, is there further, Mr. DeLeone?
That is all.
Sir, we are online with all our attachments, all our ordinances and everything, so feel free to go online and you can find the information you were looking for.
Over there too.
Let's see, public safety, Mr. Amrhein.
Yes, I move the committee meeting minutes of June 5th.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Abstain.
One abstention.
And I move the one action recommended.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2019-69 in title only?
Draft 2019-69, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to accept the lease renewal terms with Kent State University to continue to rent 414 East Main Street building for the City of Kent Health Department's use and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second?
Second by Garrett. Anybody have comment, discussion on this? Seeing none, please call the roll for.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. Amrhein?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeone?
Yes.
Mr. Farrar?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Shaffer?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-69 passes.
Okay, thank you. That's all for health and public safety. There's nothing tonight under land use. There is nothing tonight under streets and sidewalks. We're into special committee reports. Are there any? Seeing none, unfinished business. Anything? New business, items need council action or referral. We'll start going to move on down.
All right. So lately, I've been inspired by some of the young women, particularly high school and college-age women, who have been putting forth an effort to encourage their cities and local businesses to provide free menstruation products in their public restrooms. Women-Friendly Kent is an initiative that I'm proud to say that I'm part of in getting our local business community to also participate through a Leave One, Take One signage and tote that's being put up right now currently in 15 different public restrooms and 15 different bathrooms. It has a support of Kent Area Chamber of Commerce, the Main Street Kent. It has support from Justin Smith, our interim health commissioner, and the Kent Free Library. Also, the Kent State Women's Center on campus just completed a pilot program, and they're going forward in an effort to provide free menstruation products in their public bathrooms as well. So I'd like to make a motion either to approve it as is or go to committee to do the same thing in city-owned restrooms. This would exclude Parks and Rec since they have a separate budget. This would be strictly city-owned office restrooms, police department, fire department. I spoke with Melanie about it. Based on her very brief, I didn't give her a whole lot of time, but I really appreciate she reached out. She thought that it would cost about $200. So perhaps it's something that we can just vote on, but if you'd like to go to committee, we can do that as well. So.
Well, you're making a motion, so that would be putting it in committee, I think.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
to our
I'll
motion?
second that.
Second by Roger. Now, Gwen, further discussion?
I think I pretty much said it. I mean, that.
Roger, is there further
Well,
discussion?
I think that the $200 is a year, so it's not like it's $200 a week. It's a minimal cost, I believe, and it allows us to partner with a variety of different organizations that we already support.
Okay, is there further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Are you done?
I am. So we're put it into committee then? Or are we just?
No, that's it.
Is passing?
We just
Passed.
passed
Okay.
it.
Pass.
I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah. Well, you gotta make it clear in your, you gotta make it clear in your motion.
Well, I wasn't sure if it.
All
had
right,
to go to committee.
you got it.
But thank you.
Tracy, you're next.
Yeah, I was just wanted to comment on the Kent Pride event that was going to happen. We as city council, we really don't involve ourselves with setting up the festivals and things downstairs, so I would maybe recommend someone directing them towards Main Street Kent. They could help them set up an activity downtown, or,
Maybe it's a chamber too.
yeah, Chamber. So, is Harrison here?
He's here.
Oh, okay. So maybe Harrison, you could talk to them and help them out with that? Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi?
That was a motion. Okay.
Was that a
Your better
motion?
ones.
I guess, okay, a motion.
Well, I'm kinda used to getting a motion, 5 votes, and it goes. All right. You second it? Is there further discussion?
Wait, we just better clarify too, while
The
Ms.
motion
Wallach is
Rick
clarifying
Harrison
things,
to help
that they did say we have a lot of experience and lots of funding. We don't have a lot of funding, but it's certainly a project I'm sure we could get behind.
Yeah, I have an amendment.
You're gonna amend? We
Yeah.
didn't
You're
get a
going to
second.
amend a non-motion?
Well, no, Tracy basically made a motion, but there was no second to it. Was there?
Second.
All right, second by Heidi.
Yeah. I'd
All
like to
right.
amend, though. Can I amend? I
Yes.
could take, okay. I would like to amend, because what I liked it too, but I want more action. I was going to refer to the city manager, Aka Harrison or whoever, to work with the organizers of the Rainbow Squirrel Fest, just to find out what their needs are from the city, and come back to us.
We're happy, and actually, we've done that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're gonna
We've
come to us?
communicated a couple times, and Harrison's communicated, so
we'll keep that conversation going. We're happy to do that.
Okay.
So where's your amendment? Moot point?
Is it?
Yes.
It looks like everything's being handled, we don't need either.
You want to withdraw your motion because Harrison's already gave him the permit.
It
and
wasn't
that's
a
it.
motion.
All right. I just want to be clear
Withdraw
here.
your non-motion motion.
I just want to be clear.
Withdraw your second of the non-motion.
All right, Heidi, did you have your hand up before?
That's what I wanted to say.
All right.
I wanted to
Anybody
make
else?
it a clear action, though, but.
Got it. Future council meetings, anything?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm assuming that we're in July, the 1st and the 3rd, as normal?
Yes,
Okay, good,
we already have that because there's a public hearing
correct.
requirement that we had to stand by. Anybody else? Councilman, councilperson's comments? Nothing? Wow. Down to the mayor's, Garret mentioned about the Torch Fest tomorrow night, be there. It's from 4 to 9, not 4 to 10, Garret.
I'm staying till 10.
Okay. And Mr. Turner is kind of being the co-chair for the Downtown Heritage Festival. He made arrangement with Harrison already. You know, guys, it's more important than just standing here, make a present. Let's make a presence down there. So work with Harrison and we'll get time slot and get everybody in there.
Okay.
All right, I'm done. Anything else? This meeting is adjourned.
Record.
It's really council. There's a
You've done 20 minutes?